of pregnancy, and welcome to the WET Project, where women embody transformation. In a nutshell, birth is not done in the head, it's done through the body. So anything that you learn that's only stuck in your head, it's not going to do much for you at birth. It's not going to give you much information about how you are going to birth and what inner experience you're going to have. So the way to access that is to go inside you and see what your hopes are, what your fears are, what your concerns are. So this week I just want to continue on that theme, which is like, how do you do that? It's great that you know that you need to do this and go and see inside and what's there, but how do you do this? So for me, both times I've been pregnant, my dream world has been much more accessible to me. Some of these dreams are just random dreams, but some of them, I feel it. There's like this message in it. It's showing me in symbols what I'm processing inside myself. And so I write them down, and I feel that just by writing them down and kind of giving them attention, I'm receiving even more dreams. And so this is a really nice process, because this is definitely comes from me. It comes from what's in my subconscious, what I'm not necessarily aware of in my day-to-day, on a day-to-day basis. Some of these dreams are like super grandiose and they're just beautiful and wonderful, because I do think birth and giving birth is truly wonderful. But some of these dreams are kind of creepy or scary or just not cool at all. And those are the things that I look at. And yeah, they give me clues. So that's something that you can do. Not everyone will have crazy, vivid dreams. But if that is your case, even if you just have one, write it down. Give it the attention that it deserves. As you're writing it down, as you're remembering it, just try to enter in contact with how it makes you feel. And just that is already a clue. So besides dreams, another thing that you can do is do art. I would say the easiest thing is just take a sheet of paper and some crayons or color pencils, something like where you can choose a color or many colors, and draw your vision of how your birth is going to be. I mean, you don't know, and this is just a projection, but do it. You have to remind yourself of one thing. This is not to make pretty art to show and look how good of an artist I am. It's not at all about that. This is really an inner process. I mean, you can share it if you want to, obviously, but it's not really the objective. And so what I would recommend is just take a space, pick a time and a space where you can be either on your own, or if you want to do this in a group, fine, do it in a group. Be as quiet as you can be. It will help you go deeper inside yourself and maybe access some things that you wouldn't normally have access to. And yeah, so just sit there for a little while, look at your paper, pick your colors, and think about it. Think about birth, your birth specifically. What do you see? What will it look like? What will it feel like? Who's going to be there? Where are you going to be? There's other approaches. Again, it depends how comfortable you are with this. You can dance it. You can sculpt it. A lot of women, pregnant women, really like clay. to use clay. And it's like this, the fact of putting your fingers in and out in your hand and molding earth, there's something very grounding and that really touches the subconscious level by doing that, and the shapes that come out. So if that's something that's attractive to you, you can do that too. So like I said, there's many approaches to this. And depending on where you are in your pregnancy, different things can come out. When you're at the very beginning of your pregnancy, the first trimester, you're not necessarily thinking about birth so much. You're just thinking about yourself and all these changes that are going through you, and kind of how all of this is changing your life. And I think when you get to the second trimester, you're feeling much better, usually, in your body, and you're kind of connecting a little bit more with your baby. Because at this point, somewhere in the second trimester, you start feeling the baby kick, your belly is growing. So this idea that there's actually a human being inside of you being formed is much more accessible. And so, yeah, so you connect more with your baby. And then the third trimester, it's your preparation for birth. Usually that's kind of how it goes. But nonetheless, it's good no matter where you are in pregnancy to do this like birth art, where you're working on your own fears and concerns that sometimes you don't. Like, it's like in this society, we're not really allowed to talk about these things. It's like this non-said rule that, you pick your birth provider and you should feel lucky that there's this professional that's there guiding you and telling you what to do. Just because you chose someone, if you have this gut feeling that something's wrong, you can change. You can find someone else. There's all these things that if you're not addressing them, in the long run, you're the one that's going to pay for this in your birth. And it usually comes out at that time where you're already kind of vulnerable. And so if you don't feel supported, or if there's these tensions, it's all going to come out there. And it's your body that's going to speak by not fully opening. And it can be a mess. So this is my advice to you: the earlier in your pregnancy that you can kind of know what you want and take the steps to get it, in the long run, the better off you are. And the only way to do this, it's hard to know what you want, especially if this is the first time you're doing this. The only way to do this is to know what you're carrying inside. So this is my whole message is this: just know yourself, know what is inside of you, know what your fears are and your concerns, and even your secret hopes. There's these things that sometimes women only birth the birth that they think is possible to have, and there's things that they might have wished, but they didn't even think it was possible, so they didn't even strive to have that happen. This is your birth. It's nobody else's, it's yours. So you can make it be what you want it to be. But for that to happen, you need to make sure there's nothing in the way, and usually it's ourselves that are in the way. I may seem like I'm being pretty insistent on this. It's like 2 weeks that I'm kind of talking about the same thing, but it's because it's really important. And I think that most care providers and most childbirth educators overlook it and don't really address it. And these are the things that actually help women much more go through birth. I've heard so many stories of women who work in the healthcare system who have seen births, or who know all about the medical system and what the medical system provides and the technologies that are there to help you go through this. A lot of these women have difficult births. And I mean, there's not just one reason of why this happens, but these people are supposedly very, very educated about birth and how it works. And you would think that education is what helps you make it or not. It is to some extent, but that's really not the whole picture. And the other side that is missing in this story that I just told you is the personal knowledge. Just knowing generally how a woman's body goes through birth is not giving you much information about you and your body. And the only person that can give you that information is yourself. So I don't want to pound your head with this, but this is critical. I did feel some little kicks, but that's only when there's absolutely nothing else going on. Sort of late at night when I can't sleep and I'm trying to fall back asleep, and I put my hands on my belly. That's like the only times I feel it right now. It's still kind of early. I think at my next, oh yes, there is one thing. Since this last week I went to the to my midwife, to a midwife appointment, and I heard my baby's heartbeat, and I mean, everything's doing great. I had my blood work done and the results were great, which is kind of surprising because this time around in my second pregnancy, at least in the first trimester, I felt very, very depleted compared to my first pregnancy, where I was just like top shape. I was much more tired, and just I just felt like my body was missing so many more. I was just so much more hungry and all these things. So, but apparently that's pretty typical for a second pregnancy. In the first trimester, I was still breastfeeding and growing a baby and running around trying to catch my toddler. So there you have it. But besides that, I'm feeling great. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. That's it. I will see you next week. Alright, I'll see you soon. Bye.